Why should veganism be treated like a religion?
Because it's a deeply held belief, it's a passion, and I believe in not making others suffer. The most vulnerable members of our society, which is farm animals, should be treated with respect.
Well, I mean, I think I can believe in that and yet not call it a religion. What do you think?
100.
So I love.
So all animals are your god?
I believe that a religion isn't so much about a god, it's about respecting others and
Do you eat bread? Do you eat bread?
Okay, so now Piers is trying to trap her by asking her if she eats bread.
I'm not actually dressed up like a chef. I'm dressed up like someone who dropped out of vegan baking school because the baking school wasn't vegan, and who now uses the chef's jacket as like the equivalent to a house coat just to keep warm here in the winter. So this is not a cooking video. Do not worry, we're not going to cook anything in this here tape. We got some legit idiocy from Ryan and Angie over at Happy Healthy Vegan, and not just idiocy, but hypocrisy, and moreover, it's hypocrisy about hypocrisy. So let's jump to really briefly here the tape. Piers Morgan and Happy Healthy Vegan dodging the issue. What do you say when meat eaters point out to you that in the production of vegan food, you also do kill animals?
You're aware that in the process of wheat manufacture and bread making, that literally billions of insects get murdered.
Did he just say that billions of insects get murdered?
Billions of insects get murdered.
Piers is an insect activist.
People will often bring up, like, well, what about bacteria or ants or other bugs? Are all beings equal to each other in that sense?
All the insects, not the bacteria. I dig most insects. I don't kill any. But I'm starting to appreciate more and more of them as the years go by. In fact, our backyard right now is full of grasshoppers and crickets. In fact, this morning when I left Detroit, there was a grasshopper, I swear, this big, on the garage, and Eric and I were out there, and we were just face to face in awe for about 15 minutes looking at this beautiful creature. Check out my animal intelligence essay, by the way, on my website. There are no contradictions here. You guys are walking contradictions. You guys are walking graveyards of murdered animals. You claim that you're holy and compassionate, and then you commit atrocities and commit evil acts every single day. So everybody who's not vegan needs to look in the mirror and start analyzing themselves instead of the vegans in the world.
I mean, these are sacred animals that have been murdered so you can eat bread.
Oh boy, that old chestnut.
Yeah, insects. Crushing insects while farming. We've visited this argument many times. It's a version of the combine harvester argument. I'm sure he didn't say billions of deers get sucked into and killed by combine harvesters.
Don't give him any ideas.
Yeah.
I think can you be consistent that actually no living creature should ever be killed so that you can eat food? Bread leads to the mass murder.
But it's that sort of attitude
billions.
that ridicules a
It's
deep
that attitude that
felt
exposes
belief,
the hypocrisy.
This is an issue I dealt with from day one on this channel, and it's an issue that does challenge the definition of veganism, and it's an issue that you're not going to, in a sincere and down-to-earth way, wriggle your way out of by just demanding that the other side of the argument respect your perspective, even if your perspective is deeply incoherent, self-contradictory, illogical, and wrong. Now, you probably have heard the term straw man before, to straw man an argument. Unless you spend many hours, in conversation with Isaac over at Ask Yourself's channel, you might not have heard the term steel man. So steel manning an argument is where I take someone's argument and let's present it in terms that are more difficult to assail. Well, the idea of thousands of deplorable six-limbed insects that don't have emotional expressions on their face and don't have intelligence in forms that you may find easy to appreciate or sympathize with, the deaths of all these insects to produce your daily bread may not tug at your heartstrings. But maybe if we switch to another species like the gopher, like Richardson's ground squirrel, maybe that would. Richardson's ground squirrel, as it happens, I've mentioned this a million times on the channel, there's been fascinating research done on their level of intelligence, on the fact that, believe it or not, they communicate with spoken language. Their spoken language, we've broken it down to some extent through computational linguistics, and they actually do have complex, abstract thoughts, memories, commands they give to one another, etc., etc. They spend their lives popping up and down through what we call gopher holes. I guess technically they're ground squirrel holes, and they talk. They talk to one another. They're at a moderate distance from one another. Social, gregarious animals with complex communication. They're intelligent. They're cute. They make facial expressions that show their emotions in a way we can relate to. Hashtag speciesism. Every single day in Canada, people kill them. They kill them so they can produce wheat. They kill them just so that their lawn is a flat green line on the horizon instead of having mounds and lumps in it. They are killed as vermin throughout the prairies of Canada, and I assume the adjacent part of the United States, at least places like North Dakota and South Dakota. I don't know the full range of this animal's habitat. And guess what? If you actually adopt the position that the life of an animal is sacred, if you take the position that killing an animal is an immoral act and is contrary to your religion, then you are a hypocrite. Piers Morgan is right, and these vegans are wrong. And I'm vegan. But from day one on this channel, I was saying, hey, I don't just want to approach veganism in a way that makes me look good, that makes vegans look good. I want to actually be good. I'm not worried about vegans seeming crazy. I'm worried about us actually being crazy, holding deeply incoherent and self-contradictory beliefs and statements of principle. And that's what this comes down to here. So, yeah, Piers Morgan may be an idiot, but guess what? Even an idiot can beat you in this debate where the other side is trying to argue for veganism being recognized and respected as a religion. Why? Because they really want that level of respect. Piers Morgan's comeback is, well, if your position is killing animals is wrong, you kill animals every day to produce vegan food also, whether it's wheat for bread, soybeans for tofu, whatever example you want to. What's the vegan's reaction? Well, you see, this is why you need to respect us as a religion, even if what we're saying is wrong and self-contradictory and deeply incoherent. Okay? There's more than one way to approach veganism. There is more than one way to define veganism. I've had so much angry hate mail from people writing into me saying, no, there's only one definition of veganism. Well, guess what? Some vegans admit to themselves that they have to kill rats and cockroaches and insects, and that wouldn't even end in a hypothetical future where vegans take over the government and start writing legislation to get rid of things like factory farming and people wearing fur coats and people wearing leather shoes. Even if we have all that legislation, we're still going to have a conflict with wild animals like bears breaking down the doors of our houses, trying to eat our garbage or trying to eat the food out of our fridge or whatever it is they can do. We're still going to have conflicts with cockroaches, bed bugs, mosquitoes, rats. And yeah, it's actually really hard. It's really challenging for vegans to answer the question of what would you do about groundhogs, about the ground squirrel, about these kinds of intelligent animals that are currently treated like vermin just so we can produce bread. And you know what? It's not that hard. If you can just be honest with yourself and others, you can come up with an answer. You can say, you know what? This is something we need to take a serious responsibility for. We need to have a step-by-step approach, the same way that we as a society, step-by-step, have tried to go from being millions of people smoking millions of cigarettes every day to minimizing and controlling cigarettes and educating people and coming up with crazy technologies like nicotine chewing gum and the nicotine patch, and come up with all these methods to help people quit. We have this huge conspiracy of millions of people trying step by step to help us make the transition to being a tobacco-free society, a nicotine-free society. You know what? I think we can make the transition to being a society that minimizes and eventually eliminates, the extermination of gophers. It's barbaric. I mean, this is medieval, having to go out and kill these mammals just to grow wheat. There are going to be better techniques that can be rolled out step by step, especially if governments make it a priority and start researching it. If we stop pretending this is nothing. And we, of all people, as vegans, we should be the people willing to admit this is something, this matters, this is an externality or impact, this is a side effect of our diets. We should try to take control over. We should try to take responsibility for. Even if here and now, in making the decision to buy a bag of bread, you can't. Because currently, there is no-kill bread. But as soon as one brand comes out, imagine what a difference that is in the marketplace. Imagine when all of a sudden there's one bag of soybeans that says no kill. The same way that, they sell tuna with no dolphins killed on the label. You could have bags of soybeans telling you, hey, guess what? No vermin were killed in making these soybeans, or no vermin were killed in making this wheat. Technologically, we can put a man on the moon, okay, people? No, if we put our minds to it, if there was some priority to it, if there was some research and development put into it, we could live in a world where animals like gophers live on habitat reservations, on wildlife preservation areas, in national parks, and where they don't live on farms, where we draw lines on a map and we separate these things and we have some kind of fencing, in effect, that keeps the gophers over there and keeps the wheat farming over here. It's not impossible. It's not an impossible pipe dream, but it's going to start with people, including vegans, admitting there's a problem, and there's going to be a step-by-step process leading to a solution over centuries. And you're never going to get there with this kind of ridiculous, self-contradictory religious mentality.
Bread leads to the mass
But
murder
it's that
of
sort of attitude
billions.
that ridicules
Oh, no.
a
It's
deep
that attitude that
felt
exposes the
belief, a
hypocrisy.
passion.
So shame on you to happy, healthy vegan. When the other side is right, admit that they're right, examine the contradictions in your own presuppositions, and move forward. That's the way to build a movement. And this dogmatic, pseudo-religious bullshit, this is not.
Dun, 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 dun.